Hello, I am Pam and this is my channel, Made by Pam. Today is Friday, January 7th, 2022. Isn't that weird that we're already in 2022? Yeah. I was talking to my son the other day and, I know he was just kidding. He's like, you know what, Mom? Maybe the 20s are just cursed and we should just all wear masks until 2030. And then in 2030, the curse will be lifted and we'll be just fine. So who knows? I'm like, well, maybe. Good thing I have lots of fabric. I can make you lots of masks. I better get started, huh? Like, no. Just make me new ones every couple months. I'm like, okay. Alright. So what have I been up to? Well, I have worked on the dress. So here is the tie. And I think I showed it last week too. Yeah. So I have been working on the dress. I have it on my dress form. And I just don't want to take it off. So it is right there. See. Wonderful dress form. And I pretty much have everything done on it. I talked about it on Sunday. You just didn't get to see it. So I got all the stitching, like the front facing stitching done, and I got the bottom hemline done. I still need to add the buttons and the buttonholes on all of it. These are done up with safety pins right now. So I have the buttons. They're just little buttons I decided to use that are just going to go on it. Just kind of blend in. So yeah, that is the dress I am working on. So why haven't I finished it? I come down and I look at it and I get compliments on it from my daughter and my husband. They're like, oh, it's coming out pretty nice. I like it. And I look at them and I look at that and I'm like, oh, I hate it. I don't know. Why haven't I done the buttonholes and the buttons? What is stopping me? Seriously. I will get it finished. But it's not a make that is bringing me joy. So why? 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 So, why am I getting this out so late? Well, I've had a busy day. So, my kids didn't have school today. Well, no, my 5-year-old had school. The other kids, they had a virtual school day. So they had to do schooling online. Yeah, that never turns out well. I was able to get my daughter to get her stuff done. My son looked at his stuff and he was pretty much caught up. I'm like, well, what do they want you to do? I guess I could have had him do another lesson, but I'm like, he's already ahead. So I was like, what's the point? And then the other thing just wasn't working, so I'm like, well, there's no point in doing that if it's not working. And then we got a message from his teacher saying that being that those weren't working, that we didn't have to worry about it. And they'll do it later at school. I'm like, oh, yay! Easy out. So, what else did I do today? Well, I went to my 5-year-old school and I talked about sewing. So they have been talking about fabric and clothing and just different things, like different things that are made out of fabric and the clothing and blankets and just a bunch of stuff. And they've been talking about it for all of, like, pretty much all of December and then part of January. Well, and 2 weeks in December, they didn't have school. So, I think they talk about it for like a month. So for like 4 weeks. And so last month, they had contacted me and said, hey, we're doing a lesson on clothing and fabric, and we were wondering if you would come in and talk to the kids. I'm like, sure, why not? So I went today. Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I took the sewing machine and I took some fabric pieces, and I took scissors and a rotary cutter and a quilting ruler and my tomato with pins, and I basically talked to them about fabric. And I asked them questions. I'm like, and I took the iron, and I'm like, okay, so do you guys know what this is? They're like, I'm like, well, it's a tomato, a pin holder, pin cushion, that holds sharp little pins. So you have to be careful or they'll poke you. Yeah. And I asked them what these were. And they're like, oh, those are scissors. I'm like, you're right, they are scissors. And what do you do with scissors? Well, you can cut paper and you can cut fabric. And I'm like, well, with these scissors, I cut fabric and I cut string. Like, you cut string? I'm like, yeah, thread and yarn. Yep, and fabric. They're like, wow. And I took a full of thread and a bobbin of thread. And I took, I'm like, do you guys know what this is? They're like, thread? String? I'm like, you're right, it is. And it goes on the machine so you can sew. Just ask questions. I was talking to 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. And so I was just doing like a little lesson that took a couple minutes. Like, it actually, they don't expect the kids to have a huge attention span, like a couple minutes. And it actually went better than I expected. They were actually quite interested. And then I showed them the fabric, like how it sews on a sewing machine and how it keeps the fabric together. And then they asked me how the iron works, and I showed them. And I'm like, but I'm not going to plug it in because I don't have an ironing board here. And it would get really hot. And that just wouldn't be fun. Not here. I'm like, so when you're handling an iron, make sure that if you have it on, you do not touch the metal plate. They're like, why is that? I'm like, because it's hot and it will burn you. I'm like, see this mark right here on my arm? It's because I touched the hot iron and it burnt me. They're like, oh, okay. So it's just those little lessons, You don't want a little kid to get burnt. That hurts. Poor kid. Poor baby, So yeah, I talked to him. And then what made their day is I gave them each a piece of fabric. So I gave them a fat quarter of fabric each. Yeah, you want to see the fabric I gave them? Let me get it for you. I think I was going to show you in like Sunday, Monday. Yeah, I think it was Sunday because I went to the store on Saturday. And I had shown you the fabric, but you didn't see it because the video didn't turn out, so I deleted it. Well, let me show you the fabric. Okay, so I had gone to Walmart. Yeah, that's a dangerous place to go. Seriously. But anywho, I went to Walmart and they were doing like their sale stuff. And I just had to get in on it, you know? So I got in some fabric bundles, like some fat quarter fabric bundles. So I got in 3 of them, and they're just Christmas fabrics. So these are the fabrics that I took. Oh, I'm missing one in this one. Let me go ahead and grab it real quick. Okay. So the first set of fabric is a puppy dog fabric that I took. I have this little puppy dog fabric. Then we have some little bones, little scarves and earmuffs and hats and mittens. And then, I guess there's no mittens on there, sorry. And then a little doggy's wearing more. And then these little blue doggies. And then we have like a llama print fabric with little cactuses. And we have that one. And this one says, Fa la 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 llama. And then a little cactus. And then a little llama in a reef. And then we had some Christmas sloth. Oh, this one's cute. This one would work for Valentine's too. And then got this fabric, and then this fabric. So I had taken all of these different fabrics. I'd taken like 2 of each bundle, but I ended up taking 2 of the sloths and 2 of the puppy dogs, and no, I ended up taking 3 of the puppy dogs, 2 of the sloths, and 1 of the llama. So I was a little bit short. No, not really. I just didn't have more of the llama to put out if the kids wanted it. So it was okay though. They were fine with that. But each kid got to pick out their piece of fabric, and then after they picked it out, the teacher wrote their names on the corner of each fabric so they could take it home with them, and they wouldn't get it confused with the other kids. And so the teacher had written my son's name on this piece, Timothy, and he's like, "That's not my name." I'm like, "It is." He's like, "But it's not right." And so I took out another piece just like this and handed it to him. I'm like, "Okay, well, ask her just to write Timo on it." And so she wrote Timo on it, and then he put it in his cubby, and then it's still sitting there until Monday, which is fine, no big deal. But yeah, so that was lots of fun this morning. And then I had a therapy session for my 9-year-old, and then I had to take him for his med appointment so he'd get his meds refilled. And then after that, we had to go to Walmart and pick up the new meds. And then when I got home, my husband wanted to take me out to the movies so we could spend, a couple hours together doing something fun before he leaves. Because we have an anniversary on the 10th, and then my birthday's on the 24th. And unfortunately, he's going to be out of town for work and military. So it's kind of like, well, it's more military stuff. But yeah, so he's going to be out of town doing stuff, and I'm going to be home. And so he wanted to make sure that we were able to celebrate our anniversary and my birthday, you know, while he's still here. So we went out to the movie. And the movie that we watched was Spider-Man. It was an okay movie. Yeah, it was okay. So, and then we got home, and I'm just like, I really need to do my video. But yeah, so it's been a busy day. A busy day. Yeah. And I don't know if I'm going to get that done yet. I don't. Well, I'm going to get it done, but not tonight. Because early in the morning, I gotta take my husband to the airport. So that's lots of fun. Alright, well, thank you guys all for your concern, and thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and stay creative. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. So, I know I haven't been on here. It's been like a week. So my last video was Friday Sews. You know, I had planned on doing a video and posting it on Sunday. I recorded it and listened to it, and my sound was off, so I deleted it. Oh my.